So even without knowing what certain words mean, we can use our context clues to still figure out what's going on. So when you get to your benchmark next week and you see words you don't know, don't stop. Just power through and use your context clues to figure out what's going on around them. Okay? Let's go on to paragraph 6. When we made our way through crevices, I was severely cautious, but Stikine approached him as unhesitating as the flying clouds. He would leap the widest crevice without so much as halting to take a look at it. Stikine seemed not to care for the crevice or swift flashing streams into which he might fall. The little adventurer was only about 2 years old, yet nothing seemed to novel him, nothing daunted him. He showed neither caution nor curiosity, wonder nor fear. He bravely trotted on as if glaciers were playgrounds. His stout, muffled body seemed all one skipping muscle, and it was truly wonderful to see how swiftly and heedlessly he flashed across the nerve-trying chasms 6 or 8 feet wide. His courage was so unwavering that it seemed to be due to being blindly bold, and I kept warning him to be careful. We had been close companions on so many wilderness trips that I formed the habit of talking to him as if he were a boy and understood every word. So what's going on? He's starting to warm up to the small dog. So John is beginning to warm up to dog. Okay, that's what's happening on John's end. What about the dog? How is he behaving now? Brave. He's being brave. What were you saying, Lindsay? So the dog's starting to be brave and starting to have an understanding of what's going on. And how do we know that? What shows us in the text?
It says that Brett Stikine approached him as unhesitating to the mountain. So he was afraid.
Where are we? Can you read it again? I'm sorry, my eyes got confused.
It said, I was severely cautious that Stikine approached him as unhesitating as a blind fly.
Yes, and that shows what?
Bravery.
Bravery on Stikine. What's another one that shows that Stikine was being brave?
He directly trotted on as if glaciers were playground. Wise as he showed neither caution nor curiosity, wonder nor fear. He bravely trotted on as if glaciers were playground.
Yes, he neither showed caution nor curiosity, and he bravely trotted on glaciers as if they were playgrounds. Do we know what glaciers are? Mm-hmm. What are glaciers? Large chunks of ice. I don't know about you, but I'm not trotting. I'm not running, skipping, hopping, or even walking on no large piece of ice. Why? Because I'm gonna slip and fall. So for this little dog to just be running around like it's a playground, either there's a screw loose or he's really, really brave, and it might be a combination of the two. Let's look at, we're gonna combine 7 and 8. Simply because they're so short.
I have known many dogs and could tell many stories of their wisdom and devotion, but to none do I owe so much to Sticky. At first, he was the least promising and least known of my dog friends. He suddenly became the best known of them all. None of Sticky's friends knows what finally became of him. After my work for the season was done, I departed for California, and I never saw the dear little fellow again. Replying to my anxious inquiries, his master wrote me that in the summer of 1883 he was taken by a tourist at Fort Wrangell on a steamer. His fate is wrapped in mystery. Doubtless by now he has crossed the last crevice and gone to another. but he will not be forgotten.
So what's our blah, blah, blah for that one? What's happened? What's happened in these last two paragraphs? So, first, John becomes fond of the dog, which we already know from paragraph 6. But then what happens?
63, and then he got took by.
He got taken by a tourist. And what does he think happened to the dog? Look at that last sentence.
He's died.
He died. So he thinks that the dog has died.
So he was stolen?
So no, he wasn't stolen. I think he just ended up going with someone else. Who? Millsap? Are you leaving today, Casey? Are you checking out? Oh, okay. So, look over, when you go home, look over the questions, go ahead and answer it, and we'll debrief tomorrow before class starts. So, what has happened is he became really fond of the dog. He ends up writing the owner and is like, hey, what happened to my little friend? And he's like, oh, he ended up going with a tourist, but, the dog's probably old by now and jumped his last jump, as all pet stories end. So let's look at the questions. By Miss Millsap. Don't get checked out tomorrow, Miss Millsap. No house. Have a good rest of your day. Number 1, which quotation from the passage best supports the idea that the narrator admires the king? Before we even look at the answer choices, what does this word mean right here? Best.
Closest.
Which one closest? But it also tells me something else too. It tells me that there is going to be a distractor answer. So there's going to be 2 that are just wrong, flat out. But then we're going to have a maybe and one that's right. But a lot of times, these are the type of questions where I've seen on your papers, when you're like working it out, you have an M by 2 answers and you just pick one. So that's what we're about to do. So it says, which quotation from the passage best supports the idea that the narrator admires the king? So we're looking for the answer choice that has the most detailed information. So whenever you see best supports, I want you to think most detailed information and that they're going to trick you up and try and have to. Okay? Okay. Let's look at that. His stout, muffled body seemed all one skipping muscle, and it was truly wonderful to see how swiftly and heedlessly he flashed across nerve-trying chasms 6 or 8 feet wide. What do you say? You think that could be one of the answers? Does anyone else agree?
Yes.
The ayes have it. So we're going to put our maybe. Let's look at B. His courage was unwavering, that it seemed to be due to being blindly bold, and I kept warning him to be careful. I'll take that. At first, he was the least promising and least known of my dog friends. Does that sound like admiration at all? No, it doesn't sound like we're happy to see him, happy to have him, or anything. It says he was the least promising and least known, and probably the least liked. And D, doubtless by now he has crossed the last crevice and gone to another, but he will not be forgotten. And what is that sentence about? What's that quote about? Dying, and but it has nothing to do with being admirable. So we're left with A and B. And remember, when we see best supports, what does it want us to have? The most detailed information. Which of these two answer choices has the most detailed information? A. This is another example of questions that trip you up for number 2. Which two quotations best support the idea that Steve King was the most interesting member of the party? So again, how many are we looking for?
2.
So how many should we have circled?
2.
Okay. And then what does best support mean? Most detailed information. So we're looking for 2 that have the most detailed information about why Sticking was the most interesting member of the party. So let's look at A. He sometimes appeared motionless and as unobserving as if in deep sleep, but I discovered that somehow he always knew what was going on. Does it seem interesting?
No.
Yeah. I'll take the maybe. We'll take the maybe. We'll take the maybe. B. We have been close companions on so many wilderness trips that I had formed the habit of talking to him as if he were a boy and understood every word. Okay, so let's, because there was a lot of, I think so. So, we had become close companions, and I formed the habit of talking to him as if he were a boy. So, how many of you have pets? How many of you talk to your pets like they're real people? Does that make your pet interesting?
No.
Makes you a little funny, maybe in the head, but does that make your pet interesting though? So, it's a no. C, yet none of us was able to make out what Sticking was really good for. No, right after that. At first, he was the least promising and least known of my dog friends. He suddenly became the best known of all. I'll take.
I wonder if it's saying having interest.
Because he became the best known of them all, so if he became the best, then that'd be the most interesting.
I like that reason of that extension. So we'll put the major. And E, none of Steve King's friends know what finally became of him. No, because again, what is that one about? Whole lot of nothing. I don't know why I just switched to highlighter. That's, I think my board might be mine. So, which two are we left with? Can you see why these two would be the correct answer choices?
Yes.
Why? Back it up.
Well, like I said to Hazel, it says he became the best known of all of these, and if he's the best, what that means he's the most interesting. And then it said, and A said, in the end part, it said he always knew what was going on. If he always knew what was going on, then that's interesting, especially since he was a dog.
And because he usually appeared like he was motionless or sleeping or unobserving, but he still managed to know what was going on at all times. Kind of like Mr. Creel, how he always has that, like, why am I here? What are we doing? But whenever I call on him, he always has the correct answer. I'm just speaking with you. Number 3. Someone try it out for me. Read it for me.
Based on paragraph 8, what most likely happened to Stephen?
Okay, what was paragraph 8 about? Remind me again, because I have a bad memory.
Think he died. He went to the tourist.
Doggy died. And which one supports that the doggy died? And that's why we do those little notes out to the side, because that took us what, 10 seconds? 2 seconds, less. That's more time we can spend on the next question, which is one of those multiple choice type matching deals. Number 4, choose a phrase for each blank to correctly complete the sentence. Based on paragraph 6, what can the reader infer that the narrator blank, and paragraph 8 helps the reader infer that the narrator blank. So again, remind me, what was our blah 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 for paragraph 6?
During the beginning to warm up to the dog,
John likes dog. And what was 8 about?
And the dogs learn to be brave and understanding.
Oh, that's good for paragraph C.
Okay, and then for paragraph 8 is about dying. So which one in choice 1 helps us to know that John likes the dog? The last one, or C.
The rest.
That's the only one that tells us that John likes the dog. He finds the king's bravery admirable.
Yes.
And number 2, which is the only one that tells us about? Yes. He cares about the king's well-being, and how do we know that? Because in paragraph 8,
He was wondering where he was.
he was wondering where he was, so he wrote the owner to ask. And I don't know about you, if I ain't worried about nobody, I ain't asking about nobody.
Especially writing a letter.
Especially, cause that's a lot of work. You gotta write the letter, stamp it, go to the post office, send it off, wait for a reply. That's a lot. That's a lot. So he must have really, really liked this dog. Question 5. Which of the following quotations supports the inference that the king is stubborn? So we're looking for a quote that supports, and what does support mean? Help or back up the inference. What's an inference? An educated guess. That's the king is stubborn. So which quote helps let me know or guess that the king is stubborn? So I'm hearing but and duh, right? So why did we cross out A?
That's not proving that was stubborn.
It's not proving that he's stubborn at all. What about C? He was a true child of the wilderness. That ain't got nothing to do with nothing. So we're left with B and D. So I know it doesn't say this, but which one gives us the most detailed information about why he would be stubborn? B. And that's simply because it flat out tells us that a hunter could never set him on anything, and he couldn't make him do anything. So that's stubborn. So we're gonna go with B.
But he's not doing his job.
He not on his job. If you're a dog, you supposed to be fetching. You supposed to be helping me kill birds. You supposed to be hunting rabbits. If I can't get you to do none of that, what kind of dog are you? Stubborn. 6. The following question has 2 parts. This is another one that trips you guys up, because you'll answer part A, and then you just keep on going, like part B is not there, and you end up getting it wrong, you don't get credit. So part A, which inference, what does inference mean again? I'm just gonna put EG for educated guess. Can be made based on paragraph 5. What was paragraph 5 about? What was our blah, blah, blah?
Couldn't figure out what sticker was good for.
What was this dog good for? So what guess can be made based on paragraph 5 of trying to figure out what this dog was good for? Mr. John believed that most hunting dogs shared common hunting skills. Mr. John's companions believed that Stick King would be a useful companion to them. Mr. John believed his skills for observing nature could help him understand Stick King. Or Mr. John's companions believed that Stick King was unsuited for difficult wilderness weather.
C. The race. Oh, this wrong?
I thought it was
D.
Well, we know that's not right. It has to be one of them. Okay, let's break it down case by case. Mr. John believed that most hunting dogs share common hunting skills. Did they talk about that in paragraph 5? Nope. They did not. Mr. John's companions believed that Stick King could be a useful companion to them. Yes, Mr. Young did say that, but he said that way back in paragraph 1 and 3. But did they talk about any other people trying to convince him that Stikine was a good dog? No, so it can't be B. C, Mr. John believed his skills for observing nature could also help him understand Stikine. Now remember, what was paragraph 5 about?
He don't understand it.
Trying to understand the little dog. So, which is the only one that's left that's about trying to understand the little dog? C.
So you couldn't tell us that earlier?
I could have, but I wanted you to reason through it.
Well, I could give you my reasoning.
Let's look at part B. Which quotation from paragraph 5 supports the answer in part A? So, this is why part A was important. So we're looking for a quote that supports the fact that, we're looking for a quote that supports the fact that Mr. Jones was trying to figure out what good that little dog was for. So which one of them supports?
Uno.
A.
Oh, I forgot you was over there.
A.
Yeah, none of us was able to make out what Stikine was really good for. But we just said that Mr. John believed his skills for observing nature could also help him understand Stikine. So if he believed that his skills could help him understand the dog, why would it be none of us was able to make up? We have to use our answer for part A to justify.
Must be D then.
C.
Oh, yeah.
So what are we saying?
Dog, just D.
Does everyone agree? Does everyone agree? Going once? Going twice?
Through 500.
The D is correct answer.
Can I get my bid?
I'm sorry. I'm a public school teacher. I don't have a lot of fun. We're almost at the final question. We got 3 more to go. Choose a word or phrase for each blank to correctly complete the sentences. So how many answers are we picking? How many answers are we picking? How many answers are we picking? 2. The reader can infer, what does infer mean? Educated guess, the narrator initially felt blank about allowing Stikine to travel to Alaska. This is best supported by the quotation blank. How did he feel in the very beginning about the little dog? Hesitant, because did he want him on board? He said, this ship is no place for a little dog.
He thought he was a virgin.
He thought it was a burden. Which choice?
Hey.
He didn't have to read the question.
It's alright, I'm liking the enthusiasm. Yes, such a little helpless creature would only be in the way, I said. So he didn't think that the dog needs to be on board. He said, this ship is no place for a little dog. Number 8, which 2 words from paragraph 6 help the reader infer that Stikine is careless? So how many choices are there? 2. So how many things should be circled?
2.
Okay, so what was paragraph 6 about though? He was warming up to the dog and the dog was being brave. So, the key word here is careless. Which 2 words show about the same feeling and meaning as careless? Curiosity? Can you be curious about something without being careless?
Unhesitant. No, space. Yeah, hesitating. He was.
Okay, I'll take unhesitating. Because if you're what does hesitating mean?
You're hesitant.
And what does that mean? You're like stop and go.
In between.
You're in between, so you're not making any choices. But if you're unhesitating,
Because means not.
yes, so you're going head first in, which is what that little dog was doing when he was playing on top of them glaciers about to fall, right?
Right.
So what's our other one? Why?
I heard you come.
You are. What does heedlessly mean? What is kind of the tone of it? Tell me that it means.
Careless.
Careless.
Yes,
I said that.
You did. I'm sorry. I
No,
didn't
she
hear. You
did.
must have whispered.
Yes, I did.
It's okay. You might have, and you know I'm getting old, so my hearing it probably just.
Ain't nobody care.
I probably just need to put in my hearing aid. That's what it was. Number 9. Read the sentence from paragraph 5. Though he was apparently as cold as a glacier and about as impervious to fun, I tried hard to make his acquaintance. Which quotation provides context for the meaning of the phrase impervious to fun? So, right off the bat, that was one of the words that we circled that we did not know, right? So now we're going to have to use our context clues to try and figure out the tone of kind of what it means. Trinity, I do not want to hear from you. Put your hand down. No. Let someone else help me through it, please. So, paragraph 5, what was it about in general?
It was about
What was going on?
Wait, paragraph 5.
he couldn't figure out what sticking was good for.
What was this little dog good for? He didn't do this, he didn't do that. Read the sentence before it says impervious to fun.
Okay. It says, as more, or as for mere rain, he flourished in it like a
Okay, and then read the sentence next.
Though he was apparently as cold as a glacier and about as impervious to fun, I tried hard to make his acquaintance.
And then the last one.
I guess there must be something worthwhile hidden beneath so much courage.
Endurance and the love of
Yeah,
wild
endurance,
weather adventure. So, based on those sentences around it, we know that the king liked the rain. He liked it a lot because it said he flourished like a vegetable. Vegetables need rain. I don't know what impervious to fun means, but I do know what cold is, and you guys have already told me what a glacier is. What's a glacier? A huge piece of ice. So if he's as cold as a glacier, think Rod Wave. What's his song? Hard on Ice. So does that seem like fun? No. So based on that alone, what can we infer that impervious means? Impervious to fun.
He would like. He didn't like to like. I don't know how to say it.
Keep going. Keep going. You on the right track. I know what you're thinking. I just need you to
He
spit
didn't
it
like.
out. He didn't like having.
Fun.
Basically, he didn't like to have fun. You know, most little dogs, they're barking, they're playing, they're trying to jump all over you. They want pats, they want belly rubs. This little dog was cold as a glacier.
Oh, he was
His heart
against
on
fun?
ice. He was like,
He
no,
was
I don't
against
wanna
fun?
play.
Like he was like against fun.
Yes, he was like against fun. And he was like, no, I don't want to play with you. Don't touch me. Like,
So he was basically.
He didn't want to have fun.
basically. So which answer choice shows me that he didn't want to have no fun?
Ooh.
He never displayed a single trace of the merry, tricksy, elfish fun of the Tyrians and colors we all know, nor of the touching affection and devotion. I think that's the right answer.
I think it's a great.
Let me check. I really can't remember. What number is this? Yeah. And this also follows our rule of best answer choice. Why does it follow our rule of best answer choice?
Why do you follow our rule of this?
Yeah, because remember when we see best supports or something like that, what do we think? Most what? Most detailed. And this is the most detailed answer choice, right? Last question, I guess you can talk now. Again. Go ahead, teacher Trinity.
Want me to read?
Yeah.
The author acknowledges that he feels a sense of gratitude towards thinking. How does he develop this central idea?
So, basically what they're asking is, what they're saying is, hey, you know what? I actually like this little dog. I'm grateful for him. Which answer choice shows me that I'm grateful for this little dog? Is it A, by explaining the assurances that Sticking would be an intelligent companion? No.
I think it's D.
I would say either B or D.
Does everyone agree?
I think B.
Okay, so we had already said no to A.
Okay.
And so we're getting rid of C. This is the executive decision.
Yes.
The ayes have it. We're getting rid of C by explaining Sticking's independence and source of blah, 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 blah. B, by describing the passion for adventures that he shared with Stikine, or D, by describing the ways that Stikine impressed him throughout their time together.
I think C.
B because
It was
He was impressed.
because, like, for him to show gratitude, that means he's thankful, and him showing how he was impressed by the dog, I would say they showed gratitude, complimenting him.
Yes, and how I explained it to my last block, there's a difference between having a passion for the same thing and actually
Yes, that's
being,
He says he has a passion for adventures that he shared with me.
yeah, but there's a difference between having a passion for the same things versus showing gratitude towards someone. For example, me and Braylee both can have a passion for watching The Real Housewives of Atlanta. We both really like the show, we like the drama, all of that good stuff. But, does that really help me any? No, I have no reason to be grateful for Bailey for watching the same show as me. However, me and Trinity and Harmony also like The Real Housewives of Atlanta, and Harmony and Trinity both let me use their login so I can watch it for the free. Am I grateful then?
Yes.
Why?
Because you don't
Because they did something for me. They impressed me by giving me their login. So the answer is D as in dog,
D is in Davis.
D as in Dawkins. Thank you. This concludes RI 8-4. Thank you.